Cruises sell an image of perfect safety. The brochures show carefree passengers lounging on deck, strolling through exotic ports, and laughing over cocktails. It feels like a sealed bubble, where nothing bad could possibly happen. And that's exactly why so many people let their guard down the moment they step on board. But here's the truth. Theft does happen on cruises, and when it does, it's rarely random. Thieves don't close their eyes and pick victims at random. They're deliberate. They watch people's behavior. They read body language, and they look for signals, tiny cues that tell them who is paying attention and who isn't. Once you learn to see what they see, the whole picture changes. Suddenly, you'll notice exactly how and why someone becomes a target. And most importantly, you'll know how to avoid falling into that pattern yourself. Number 1. The unaware passenger. The easiest targets are the ones who simply aren't paying attention. Thieves look for distraction the way sharks look for blood in the water, and distraction is everywhere on a cruise. In port, it might be the family standing just outside the terminal gates, their heads buried in maps or phones, backpacks hanging half open while they argue over which street to take. In those moments, they're broadcasting. I won't notice if someone brushes up against me or slips a hand into my bag. On board, it plays out differently, but with the same result. A Kindle left unattended on a sun lounger for hours. An expensive pair of sunglasses sitting on a bar table while the owner vanishes to grab food, or even a phone charging by the pool with no one around to watch it. It feels safe because you're surrounded by fellow vacationers, but thieves love that assumption. 99% of people on the ship might never touch your belongings. The one who will doesn't need you to worry about the other 99. The cruise environment itself encourages complacency. Everyone's in vacation mode. Drinks are flowing, staff are smiling, and the whole experience feels contained. That sense of trust is exactly what lowers defenses and creates easy openings. Number 2. Jewelry and technology as beacons. If awareness is the first thing thieves notice, the second is what you display. In ports especially, nothing draws attention faster than visible wealth. I've lost count of the number of times I've watched passengers stroll down the gangway in the Caribbean or Mediterranean glittering with jewelry. Gold chains catching the sunlight, Rolex watches gleaming on wrists, diamond earrings sparkling as they pose for photos. Add to that the constant parade of brand new iPhones, expensive cameras dangling from neck straps, and wallets pulled open in crowded markets, and you can see why opportunists don't have to try very hard. Locals near cruise terminals know exactly what time ships dock. They know passengers are carrying money, gadgets, and valuables. Most are legitimate vendors, drivers, or guides, but sprinkled among them are people waiting for the careless tourist to make themselves stand out. And it doesn't take long. A passenger fumbling with a DSLR camera while buying a souvenir, or someone pulling out a thick stack of cash in a crowded street is more than enough to make the decision. Theft in these moments doesn't even look like theft. It's a bump in a busy market, a sudden distraction from one side while a hand slips in from the other, or even a friendly stranger offering help while quietly noting your watch or phone. Once you've broadcast the signal, you're no longer invisible. You're a mark. The irony is that most passengers don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're just enjoying their vacation, but from a thief's perspective, those little displays are like turning on a beacon. Number 3. The false comfort of cabin safes. Back on board, passengers feel they can finally relax. They've locked their valuables in the cabin safe, entered a 4-digit code, and shut the door. It feels like a fortress. But those little boxes are far less secure than most people imagine. Crew staff deal with forgotten pins constantly, which means safes are designed with universal overrides. They're not heavy-duty vaults. They're thin metal containers with simple mechanisms. They'll stop a curious child or an honest neighbor, but they're not built to withstand someone determined who knows how they work. And sometimes, the risk doesn't even come from breaking into the safe. It comes from what you reveal to others. Picture this. You meet a friendly couple at trivia night, invite them back to your cabin for a drink, and without thinking, you open your safe while they're in the room. Maybe you're just grabbing cash for the bar, but in that instant, They know where and what you're storing. Even if you trust them completely, you've handed over information you can't take back. Seasoned cruisers know this, which is why they rarely put their most valuable possessions in the cabin safe. Expensive watches, passports, large amounts of cash, those often go to the ship's main safe at guest services. It's monitored constantly and requires multiple authorizations to access. Most passengers don't even know this service exists, so they rely entirely on the cabin safe, convinced it's secure. That false sense of safety is what makes it dangerous. Number 4. The chaos of embarkation day. If there's one moment when passengers are at their most vulnerable, it's the very first day. Embarkation day is a circus. Thousands of people pouring through terminals, dragging bags, juggling documents, wrangling kids, snapping photos, trying to figure out where to go. It's overwhelming, and it's a perfect environment for theft. This is when carry-ons vanish because someone dropped them under a table in the buffet while rushing for food. It's when backpacks sit unattended while groups gather for embarkation selfies. And it's when checked bags, left in hallways waiting for delivery, occasionally turn up missing items. And it's when a distracted passenger juggling 4 different bags sets one down, just for a second, only to discover it's not there minutes later. The sheer volume of people makes it easy. By the time you realize something's missing, the crowd has moved on, and the chance of figuring out who was near your bag is practically zero. That's why experienced travelers treat embarkation day like an airport. Anything essential, passports, money, medications, stays on their body until they're in their cabin with the door locked. Everything else can wait. Embarkation is not the moment to relax. It's the moment when chaos creates the widest openings, and opportunists know it. These first mistakes, distraction, flashy displays of wealth, misplaced trust in cabin safes, and the chaos of embarkation day are the foundation of how thieves pick their victims. None of them happen by accident. They're patterns that repeat on every sailing, every week, all over the world. Thieves don't have to be clever when passengers hand them opportunities. They just need to be patient. Watch who's distracted, see who's showing off, note who's careless with their belongings, and wait for the moment when excitement and chaos reach their peak. By then, the hard work is already done. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of this happens before the ship has even left the port. The cruise hasn't really begun, but the mistakes have already been made. In the next phase of the voyage, the risks evolve. Once the ship settles into its rhythm, alcohol lowers inhibitions, excursions lure passengers into unfamiliar streets, and crowded marketplaces make it easy for pickpockets to disappear in seconds. Each of those is another piece of the puzzle, but it all begins here, with the early behavior that marks someone as a target before the first sunset at sea. Number 5. Nightlife and lowered guards. Once embarkation chaos fades and the ship finds its rhythm, the next window opens: nightlife. Every cruise ship transforms after dark. The lights glow softer, the music ramps up, and the bars start to fill with passengers letting loose. And with every drink poured, awareness drops just a little further. Alcohol is the great equalizer for thieves. It doesn't make people reckless immediately, but it lowers the little habits that normally keep us safe. Phones get left on bar tops while their owners head to the dance floor. Wallets end up half out of pockets, easy to lift without anyone noticing. Doors to cabins aren't always pulled fully shut. The real danger isn't the wild partygoers. It's the people who still think they're in control. They've only had a couple of drinks, but those two are enough to dull the reflexes. A phone left behind for even 10 minutes might not be there when they come back. A wallet dropped on the floor can disappear into someone else's pocket in seconds. And while outright break-ins are rare, they do happen. There have been cases where balcony doors left slightly ajar on warm nights made it easy for someone to slip in quietly. Now that's not the norm, but it illustrates the point. Alcohol makes you sloppy, and sloppiness is what thieves look for. Number 6. Shore excursions and the illusion of adventure. When the ship docks, the sense of safety often sails away with it. Shore excursions are one of the highlights of cruising. Exploring new cities, beaches, or historic sites. But stepping into port is stepping into an entirely different environment. Not every excursion is dangerous, of course. Many are perfectly legitimate, especially those booked directly through the cruise line. But independent tours and casual offers on the street are fertile grounds for scams. A driver quoting an unusually low price might not be doing you a favor. They might be setting up a detour to shops where they collect kickbacks. Others go further, dropping passengers in neighborhoods where pickpockets thrive. The pattern repeats itself in almost every major cruise city. Taxi drivers promising a special tour, guides waving signs with offers too good to be true, or locals approaching solo travelers with friendly smiles and convincing pitches. To someone unfamiliar with the territory, it feels authentic. To the opportunists, it's an easy way to isolate someone from the safety of the main group. And it's not always about where you're taken. Sometimes the scam is as simple as charging far more once the ride is over, holding passengers' belongings until they pay up. The end result is the same. The distracted traveler, eager for adventure, becomes the victim. Number 7. Pickpockets in crowded places. Markets, shuttle buses, portside plazas. These are prime hunting grounds for pickpockets, and they rarely work alone. The classic strategy is a team effort. One creates a distraction while the other makes the grab. It might be a bump from behind, a spilled drink, or someone stopping abruptly in front of you. While your attention shifts, a partner brushes past and slips a hand into your bag or pocket. You won't feel it in the press of a crowd. By the time you notice, it's far too late. Cruise passengers are especially vulnerable here because they're carrying more than they should. Cameras, maps, sunscreen, souvenirs, wallets stuffed with multiple currencies, and it's all there in one place. And backpacks make it worse, since you can't see what's happening behind you. These aren't isolated incidents. Entire neighborhoods in ports like Barcelona, Rome, and Naples are known for skilled pickpocket crews who specialize in tourists. Local authorities warn about them constantly, but every week, new ships dock and new passengers make the same mistakes. What makes pickpocketing so effective is its invisibility. Unlike a stolen bag, which leaves you shocked the moment you notice, a lifted wallet can go unnoticed for hours. By then, the thief is long gone and your cruise has a new problem: lost IDs, canceled credit cards, and wasted time in consulates. Number 8. The friendly stranger setup. Not all thieves hide in crowds. Some take the opposite approach. They introduce themselves. It might be another passenger you meet on the ship, someone you bump into multiple times at the buffet or trivia. They're warm, charming, and eager to connect. Maybe they suggest exploring a port together or offer to watch your bag while you swim. The friendliness feels genuine, and most of the time it probably is, but not always. Every once in a while, those chance connections aren't chance at all. Some thieves buy cheap, last-minute tickets precisely to blend in among passengers. Others linger around cruise terminals and beaches, offering small favors until you let your guard down. Once you've trusted them enough to hand over your belongings, even for just a few minutes, they have exactly what they came for. What makes this tactic effective is how unnatural it feels to doubt kindness. Cruises are social places. You're encouraged to mingle, to make friends, to join activities and meet new people. And for the most part, those connections are harmless, even enriching. But in the rare cases where they're not, the price of that misplaced trust can be high. Number 9. The trap of overconfidence. Ironically, the passengers who've cruised the most can sometimes be the easiest marks. Overconfidence is its own vulnerability. Veteran cruisers often say, "I've been on 20 sailings and never had a problem." That track record convinces them they don't need to be cautious. They'll leave balcony doors cracked at night, stash wallets in beach bags, or flash rolls of cash at the casino cage without thinking twice. The problem isn't their experience. It's their assumption that past luck guarantees future safety. Thieves love this mindset because it breeds carelessness. It strips away the very habits that keep you invisible in the first place. Confidence is valuable, but complacency is dangerous. The second you stop believing theft could happen to you is the moment you stop guarding against it. And that's exactly when patterns repeat themselves. Number 10. The casino magnet. The casino is one of the most entertaining spots on the ship. It's where strangers become friends over blackjack tables, where laughter echoes around the roulette wheel, and where slot machines lure people in with flashing lights. But it's also one of the easiest places to reveal more about yourself than you realize. When someone wins big, it never stays quiet. The cheers spread through the room, staff come over to congratulate, and before long, the winner is telling the story at the bar. It's natural. You want to share the excitement. But it also broadcasts one clear message. You're carrying cash or chips. Most casino-related thefts don't happen while you're still playing. They happen afterward. A wallet left on a stool while its owner orders drinks. Chips casually slipped into a pocket and forgotten while the night carries on. The quiet walk back to the cabin after a win, when awareness is low and celebration is still high. These moments are when opportunists strike. It's not that casinos themselves are unsafe. They're well monitored, and theft inside the room is rare. The risk comes from what you signal once you leave. The passenger who celebrates loudly is far more likely to attract the wrong kind of attention than the one who pockets their winnings quietly and heads straight back to their cabin. That's the lesson here. The game isn't the danger, the aftermath is. Number 11. The social media overshare. If casinos are the old school way to advertise wealth, social media is the new one. Every cruise today is documented in real time. Instagram stories from the deck, TikToks tagged with the ship's name, Facebook albums uploaded from the middle of port excursions. And while it's fun to share, it also creates exposure. Think about what's really in those posts. A cabin selfie can give away your stateroom number. A casual clip of you unpacking shows your jewelry case on the dresser. Even a simple caption, 10 days in the Caribbean, tells anyone who sees it that your home is empty for over a week. The vast majority of people scrolling past don't care, but the small fraction who do can use that information. On board, it can make you visible to the wrong person. Back home, it can put your property at risk. Cruise lines rarely say it outright, but many security officers will tell you quietly, delay your posting. The sunset photo is just as pretty tomorrow morning. The excursion highlights can wait until you're back on the ship. That small adjustment keeps you from giving away real-time details to people who don't need them. Sharing your memories doesn't mean you have to share your location. Number 12. Why it matters. It's easy to shrug this off and think, what's the worst thing that can happen? But even small thefts carry weight. Losing a phone charger or a pair of sunglasses might not seem catastrophic, but it plants doubt. Suddenly, you're second-guessing everyone around you, and that feeling can hang over the rest of the trip. And when it's something larger, the consequences spiral fast. A stolen passport means hours at a consulate instead of exploring a port. A missing wallet turns into days of canceled cards, bank calls, and temporary cash wires. A stolen piece of jewelry may be irreplaceable. What was supposed to be a carefree week at sea can suddenly feel like one long problem to solve. That's what makes this important. It's not just about the physical value of what's lost, it's about the peace of mind that disappears with it. Number 13. Closing the circle. Cruise theft isn't about bad luck. It's about opportunity. Thieves don't need elaborate plans. They just wait for passengers to make mistakes. A wallet left out, a cabin door not fully locked, a big win celebrated too loudly, a social media post with too much detail. These are all triggers. And the truth is, you don't need to live in fear to avoid them. Most seasoned cruisers still enjoy every drink, every excursion, every show, every casino game. The difference is, they've learned to be discreet. They don't advertise what they have. They don't leave valuables unguarded. They share stories after the fact, not during. Those little habits make them invisible to opportunists. The thieves aren't looking for the most secure passenger, they're looking for the easiest one. If you're not that person, they'll move on. Here's the bottom line. Most cruise thefts are preventable. They don't happen because cruises are dangerous. They happen because passengers make themselves visible in ways they don't realize. Stay aware. Keep your valuables discreet. Save your social media for later. And you've already done more than most people ever will. Now I want to hear from you. What's the wildest thing you've ever seen on a cruise ship? Whether it was theft or just something unforgettable. Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to read it. And if you found this video helpful, check out the next one on screen. It dives even deeper into insider cruise secrets. Plus, click the link in the description to get your free guide with 50 cruise hacks that will save you money, stress, and headaches on your next voyage. Your voyage is just beginning.